My favorite bird is a peregrine falcon.
My man,
yeah,
right
sir,
here.
yes,
Come
sir.
on.
For sure.
Sky Lamborghini.
Yeah, Sky Lamborghini. There you go, there you go, there you go.
Come on, you gotta get with it. That's their official title.
When I was 14, I spotted a peregrine falcon eating a pigeon on my windowsill in the Bronx. I never looked back. I'm Jason Ward, and this is Birds of North America. It was my first trip to LA, and having spent the previous day at the thunderously loud LAX airport doing some plane spotting, I needed to get into nature and do some serious birding. So I reached out to two of my fellow Audubon colleagues, Tanya Romero and Ray Cecily, to take an early morning drive up to the Angeles Forest. Tanya, Ray, and I are all Audubon apprentices for the Fun 2 Foundation, which offers a pathway for people of color to get great access to jobs in science, research, and communication. Just 30 miles outside the city, we felt a world away.
I see him.
Yeah.
I see him too.
Oh,
They
just went
dropped.
dropped.
See,
Yeah.
I know some
The acorn.
West Coast birds. Junco.
Yeah.
I got a junco over here.
Western Wood-pewee right there.
Right on top of that branch there.
Something's up in the sky. It's turkey vulture.
Turkey vulture.
Turkey vulture, yep.
My favorite bird is the turkey vulture.
Okay.
You know, like, no doubt about that.
Hey, why is it your favorite? Because a lot of people, they think
Yeah.
of turkey vultures and they're like, ah, oh, vile,
I mean, they're
disgusting.
so cool. Like, they have such a good ecosystem function. Like, you know, they're eating pretty much all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And imagine if we didn't have those or our decomposers, where's all the that stuff going?
Exactly.
Right? Well, for the house wrens, what I always think about is the bird song that you always hear in Disney movies.
Yeah.
You know, the like
Yeah,
very
yeah,
Snow
yeah.
White like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's your Nuttalls.
Nuttalls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lifer.
But my spark bird that got me into birding, and like one that I always could identify, was the red-winged blackbird.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so they are what they say they are.
Yeah, man. But that's another bird that people just don't like.
When I was in Mississippi and Drew Landon was there, he had he brought up that it's sometimes bad connotation with black birds,
Yes,
you know?
correct.
Just a black bird,
Correct.
right? Omens or whatever, color.
Yep.
You know,
I feel like that
Ravens.
across the
Yeah,
board, right?
across the
Crows,
board,
ravens,
yeah.
vultures, blackbirds, even like starlings, you can cormorants, doesn't matter.
Double-crested cormorants
Yeah.
used to be called the nigger bird. That's what they called them. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's insane. Yeah, I see like on Facebook when someone gets a red-winged blackbird on their feeder, you have a whole bunch of people who are like, yeah, this is how you get rid of them. You should take all of your feeders down. And I'm like, wait a minute. You have bird feeders in your backyard and a bird came to eat at your bird feeder and you want to remove them because it's not a green and yellow bird? Let me know. There it goes, right there, right there.
Yeah, up.
So Western Tanager.
Beautiful bird.
I think we should rename those birds though because we get them on the East Coast a lot. So maybe they should be Western Tanagers.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Is there something special in your opinion about birds? Why birds?
So my major in college for my Bachelor of Science was Ecology, Evolution, and Animal Behavior. And I think that, one, I had a really hard time in my coursework, and I think it's because I was one of the only person of colors within that, and I think overall I never really had a strong biology or science background. Like I was beating myself up over it a lot, over grade coursework, until I actually went to Costa Rica as part of a study abroad experience. And I remember just going through that whole research project, first beginning very insecure, and then going towards the end of the research project and just being like, man, I'm a boss at this, you know, like really feeling like, oh, I know what I'm doing, you know, and like, I know what's going on and I can tell people what I'm doing. So I think for me, what birding and what birds have done have given me a lot of confidence.
I actually had a phobia of birds, right? And I started working for Audubon in 7th grade just because it was an opportunity to make money. And then it turned into a passion and I fell in love with just the thought of birds, you know, the freedom, the flight. If you see humans, you know, we're racist to color and the hue of our skins, but birds is not like that, you know, they're just like free.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have real Lazuli.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, female. I have a nest there?
There could be a nest.
With the Hummer?
Yeah, time out. So let's check this area out real quick. There might be a nest.
There's a nest.
Nice.
Above the lupin?
You got a hummingbird
right there
nest.
You have a hummingbird
which
nest.
is incredibly hard to find unless you see a hummingbird land on it.
Well, that's
hummingbird
crazy.
is on the nest. Jesus.
That's crazy.
What?
I've never seen this.
Yeah, I've never seen that either.
Do you ever think about just being in the spaces that both of you are in, the impact that you could be having on kids out there that look exactly like we do?
I remember how I felt like being in a classroom of 500 and like being the only person there that was like a woman and a Latina, right?
Sure.
So then when I lead bird walks, half the time I am leading them a lot in English and Spanish to provide some of that access.
Cool.
But it's also kind of like when I'm dealing with kids, is being able to sometimes slow down, kind of being able to form that connection with them as well and let them know like, hey, you can also be part of this, right?
Yeah.
And you can be a part of it in your own way.
Especially for people of color, we stay like majority in urban settings.
Yeah.
A lot of the time our parks and places for like refugee or our wildlife is like gang infested maybe,
Sure,
you know what I mean? So it might be an area where your mom don't want you really to be out.
Sure.
You know,
especially
so
like really early in the morning
yeah,
or
exactly.
stuff like that when it's good for birding. Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I think it's definitely an uphill battle, but you know, like what you're doing on social media, being persistent with what we're trying to show, and like is people of color doing this and that's thriving in it, you know. So that
Representation.
Yeah, representation.
That's the
exactly.
key.
Yeah, this is special. Yo, we're in the clouds, y'all.
Bird's eye view.
Bird's eye, I like that.
Yeah, bird's eye view for sure.
Oh, hi there. Thanks for watching Birds of North America. Now don't forget to subscribe to Topic's YouTube channel and also watch the rest of our episodes right here. Let's go back to this bird now. I can do both. I can point for subscribing and playlists.
Do it.